Hey y'all, thank you for joining me, and that was probably a really weird intro. But for this month's wrap up, because I did already talk about a lot of them in the vlogs as well, I'm going to go from the highest rated downward, so that way we talk about the best ones first. And remarkably, in March, there was like two 5-star reads. Words are hard. And it was a very, very narrow margin. But this one inked out a 0.03 above the other one from the spreadsheet. So, Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky won the best book of March. This one, though, humanity has left Earth, like the very remnants of humanity left Earth on some Ark ships and have been traveling for millennia, like through space, to find a planet that was supposed to have been made into a utopia for humans by the ancients, the architects, ancients, I think it's just ancients. And so you find out, though, that this is, of course, future, but these ancients are almost like our time people, except more advanced, obviously. So it's still a little bit in the future from where we are because we don't have space technology to go that far. But so your perspective, one of them is one of the people on the ship who is a classicist. So that's how you kind of judge what happened to Earth and how much time has passed through his eyes, because learning about like our time almost is his job. He's a historian, classicist, and he's our main perspective on the Ark ship, the Gilgamesh, as they are getting to this planet that's supposed to be the utopia, but finding out that it is not uninhabited and left like for humans like it was supposed to be. There is something else there that has sprung up in the long amount of time since the ancients started the project and when the Gilgamesh gets there. And you get a second perspective, and that's so much fun. I will say that the prologue, it's not exactly the prologue. Okay, fine. It is kind of part one because it's called Genesis and it's like chapters 1, 2, 3. I think you have a different perspective. She is one from people who were terraforming the planet. She is one of those people, and yeah, her perspective isn't very nice. She's a very smart scientist lady, but she's just not a great person's head to be in. But once you get past that, then it gets really fun. I loved it, though. I loved so much. It is a bit descriptive at times, but in the points that it is, it's also very interesting because of how it's done. And the end of the book was oh my gosh, and oh my gosh for sure. It's just the alternate history, the future history, what does it mean to be conscious person? Because I can't say human. They can't say what does it mean to be human. Obviously, that's a species, but sentient being, those are good words to say. What does it mean to be a sentient being in the universe? I loved it. I can't wait to keep going. And the other 5-star read was The Adventures of Amina Al-Sharifi. I did audiobook and the physical book from the library for this one, and I highly recommend the audiobook, the way the narrator does it. It's amazing because the format of this is her, Amina, telling her story to a scribe. So at some points you are taking out of the main story, as the scribe will give like an interlude about another piece, like another tale, another legend from this time, or it's just at the beginning of chapters where you can hear Amina and the scribe talking to each other, and it's just hilarious. That might not supposed to be the funny part. I don't know. I find that the way it was done was funny, as the narrator's like talking off mic, and just, yes, sometimes it gets slow, and it is an adventure story, so we're going from place to place as where she is regathering her crew because she is a retired pirate captain. Pirate, loosely though, more like, she wasn't the kind that would go attack and kill people. She would just stay in her area and, attack merchant ships sometimes, pull off jobs and that nature of whatever. But she is approached by an old crewmate's mother, and now she finds out from his mother that he had a daughter who is now 16 and is missing. And she, kind of emotionally blackmails Amina into being like, you have to go find his daughter because it's your fault that she doesn't have her dad. So Amina takes the job because she does want the money, because the grandma's like, I'm going to pay you a lot of money, and you're going to go bring my granddaughter back. And also, she just wants this one last adventure with her crew and her ship, because she has been retired for 10 years living with her daughter, and she wants more for her daughter, and she just does want that adventure. She's a mom, she's happy being a mom, but at the same point, kind of misses her old job, her old calling. So she takes the adventure, and things rapidly escalate. You go, though, as she gets her key members of her crew back, like her old first mate, her old navigator, and her mistress of poisons. The one who's not afraid to tell her, anything bad. So at first, you do have to deal with that. But I didn't mind it. It was a little bit different in each of the things, and it brought out different elements, kind of. And really, though, it was showing you the world, as it does take place in our world back in medieval times, around the Indian coastline. Like I said, the Indian Ocean from India all the way to Egypt, Cairo, maybe further down. It has a map. It has a map. And a lot of cities, are they still cities? Some of them for sure are still cities, but yeah, I don't know if they're also there. But I love seeing the places, seeing the descriptions. It's not too descriptive in that part, so if you're not happy with super descriptive things, that's cool. It wouldn't be that much. And then they go on this grand sailing adventure, and there are mystical things as, sea beasts. And Amina just gets to come to terms with how her crew is her family, how she wants to be there with her daughter, and she still wants to be this, and just everything she wants to be able to do for her daughter. Cat. I'm going to move on. I'm probably not describing it right either way, but cat. Next one up, which is still fairly high up there, was 4.75, and that was Pierce Brown's Red Rising, that I really didn't talk about much in the vlog. This one, though, we are following a future peoples that are on Mars, and the class of societies are based on your color, but I think it's your hair color is how these are. I don't know. It never really got into what's a red, what's a gold. They said their skin was shiny at one point, but then all their hair was golden or all their hair was red. But the Reds, though, the Reds are the worker class that are supposed to be terraforming Mars. So they work beneath the surface of Mars to drill for helium-3, which is supposed to be this chemical that helps the terraforming process turn it into a world that can be lived on. Not just for Mars, but the rest of the solar system. But they don't know that. They think it's just for Mars. Eventually, though, our main character, Darrow, who is a Red, who is what they call a hell diver, so he has very good reflexes. He has to have good reflexes because he's one of the ones that's driving this drill machine to get to the helium packet within the surface. He finds out, though, something terrible. He goes through this very tragic event, and through this, he is recruited into a group called the Sons of Ares that worked to, right? It is Ares, right? But I believe it's the Sons of Ares. As he is brought in with their group to be able to make trouble, rebellion kind of, against the Golds, which are the highest classes of society. And they're supposed to be bred warriors, and just, they make the laws, they maintain society. They are better than everybody kind of situation. And they're bound and determined to upend the status quo, to free everybody. Because, yeah, pretty much the Reds live as slaves without really knowing it. They know that they are underneath the Grays, Blacks. The Obsidians are like the mercenary military class, policey peoples. But then there's the Grays too, which are the ones that are directly above the Reds, like maintaining their little communities, policing them and stuff like that. But it was really good. It was really, really good. This first one has Hunger Games vibes, as he has to enter this competition school thing. And it is just brutal. Twisted and brutal. And and their society is not, the Golds is not as well off as they think they are. The next one got 4 stars, and that would be The Sleepless by Victor Manabo. This one was not exactly what I expected. In this one, we are again in our world, but it's in the future because it is in the 2040s, like late 2040s. And in the early 2040s, though, a pandemic, so that's what they called it, a pandemic, swept the globe and left a good portion of the population sleepless. And they, segregated these people off in hospitals and clinics, but it was never found to actually be transmissible. They still don't know why the population became sleepless. Like, it's just people slowly started complaining of not being able to fall asleep, lethargy and stuff like that, and then they just never went to sleep again. But now, with most of the world being sleepless, not most, a good significant part of the world is sleepless, and people have kind of accepted that. They've stopped, segregating them and stuff like that. They do treat them a little bit differently, though. In other places of the world, though, like there were activist groups that came up against sleepless people, that they're going to ruin the planet, because they're awake more. They have to eat more. They use more stuff, more power, more consumption of everything that is already pushing a struggling planet. And this, this does prove true as time went on in the book. Like, they mentioned several things. But things were also slightly acclimating to it. Our main character, though, it does mention in the description, so it's okay to tell you, that he did not become sleepless in an ordinary way. It does take a significant part for you to figure out what that is, or it explains it to you. But he's a journalist, Jamie Vega, and he works for a news channel, though. Like, they do video news more than printed news, I believe so. And his boss always broke these really hard-hitting, controversial stories, like against politicians, against corporations. Like, he went up against a lot of people. And at the very beginning of the story, like chapter 2, you find he walks into work and finds his boss dead. And as he's telling the cops, he's like, they're like, well, where were you the night before? And he's like, I don't remember. So you start to slowly find the pieces to this as he finds the missing pieces, and he does become a suspect after a little while. What I didn't expect from this book, though, was to talk about memory loss, because that's something to give away. That is a spoiler. I can't say that. But memory loss becomes a very big, important concept to the book. It does. And that touched on a lot of things for me, because especially like these 20-somethings and stuff were like saying, okay, I don't care, but if like all my memories do have to be stored on the cloud and I can't actually remember them for myself anymore, oh well, whatever. That's just nonsensical, crazy to me. As someone who is constantly forgetting things and lives in fear of forgetting a lot of stuff, yeah, I don't understand that at all. Okay, so this is me from editing portion. Is somehow my luck and the most regrettableness, and I'm just like, I don't have the last clip of the video where I talk about the other books, the lower ranked books. I don't know what happened to it. I look at the clip numbers and it doesn't even look like it was there, but I know I was recording it because I remember checking. I don't know, and I hope you can hear the dishwasher doing whatever it's doing at this point, because I have to do this now. Let's see. Last one I talked about in the clip was The Sleepless. That was at like 4 point. But I know The Witcher. The Witcher, let me turn this back on, is the next one. This is the 4th book in the Witcher series, and this is The Tower of Swallows, or The Swallow on the UK editions, I think is what that one was. Oh, this is 3.75. The Sleepless was the 4 stars. My bad. This one, it's a different format from the last one, which I really loved the last one, where they were on their little adventure. I loved it, loved it, loved it. But this one we have more Ciri, in which we left Ciri in a bad place at the end of book 2, and I really liked book 3, and then, okay, well, she's coming out of that bad place at least, but we have more Ciri, less Geralt, sad. But the format of it, though, is them telling events that have already happened. Not like far in the future, we're not far in the future, but still. Everything is going back to the solstice, I think, the thing that's at the end of September. So like, I think it's the autumn solstice. Is that one? Right? No? Yes? Maybe? Equinox? Solstice? I don't remember. Stop trying to think about it, brain. Stop. But when Ciri's relating the story to somebody, and when Dandelion is relating Geralt and his part of their little bit of their adventure that we do get, it also goes back to around that time period. It seems like they're getting closer to things, you know. I liked how Ciri does seem to come to some like realizations about life and stuff, and stop being the way she was in the other one. We get a little bit of Yennefer, and we get to see Triss as she's finding out, and somebody's telling her the story of what happened to Yennefer in this time period as well. I don't like at the end of the book, we don't exactly know where Yennefer is. I mean, we're told one thing, and it seems like something really bad happened, and yet it's not followed up. It's not followed up. Ciri comes to the realization, though, that like she's not mad at Geralt and Yennefer for not finding her, because like at one point she believed like they didn't care about her anymore. They weren't trying. The world is so big. I get it. It's a child's perspective. But now she's come to the realization that they need her. That she has to go save them. That's what her purpose is. That she's going to save them. It's like, okay, weird turn of events, but okay. That's very mature thinking of you, I suppose. So this was a 3.75 stars. Definitely did not enjoy it as much. It was very irritating. God, why is there something in my eye now? Okay, all of the next ones are 3.5 stars. We'll start with Divine Rivals, I suppose, because this came out recently. I just don't know if I want to do a full review on it. This one is a historical type setting. It felt about the 1940s vibes with, you know, the typewriters, but bits of electricity. They did have trucks, but in the city they had trams to take people around, public transportation. And she works at our main character, Iris Winnow, is 18. She works at a newspaper. She writes the obituaries, but she is trying to move up to the columnist position. However, she has a rival for this position, and Roman Kit, who is 19. He's only a little bit older than her. And they're both fantastic writers who think both of the other ones are fantastic writers, but they will never admit it to each other. Instead, they're going to be mean to each other. She thinks he's a stuck-up snob who gets everything he wants because his parents have money. And he thinks she's a fantastic writer, and with maybe a chip on her shoulder, because she does nothing but kind of be mean and belittle anything Roman ever tries to do nice. Yet it becomes an enemies to lovers situation. Roman, you will get to see through his perspective. Those are nice. I appreciated, you know, his take on life better after seeing his home situation and everything. And he is just a good person. I mean, I'm not saying Iris isn't exactly a good person, but like, she is not nice to him for so long, and yet he cares so deeply. I was misled by this book, I feel like, though, because it has the thing about the gods walk among people again. They're awake and moving around, and they're at war. Do we see the gods? No, we don't see the gods, but that is what we were given. I feel misled. I am butchering this description for you guys, and I'm so sorry. Then there was The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. This one, I thought I would like it so much more because the movie, right? The movie is so funny and just awesome. But the answer was not 42 with this book. I'm not saying that wasn't in the book. I'm just saying, like, it wasn't. It was not it for me. I don't know what it was, but it just missed. It just missed so much. But you do have this space-time, not time travel, but the space travel, sci-fi humor of it, as our main character, Arthur Dent, wakes up one day to find that his house is about to be bulldozed to build a highway. On that same day, his best friend Ford, who turns out not to be from Earth at all, helps him hitchhike off the planet because our planet is going to be bulldozed to make a galactic highway. Same so far, right? And they end up hitchhiking over two ships, and they end up on the same ship as the president of the universe, galaxy. It's got to be galaxy. Baytrod Beetlebrax? I think that's what it is. I think that's what it is. Who's not all there. He's blocked off or taken out part of his memory because of something. And this is a whole trilogy, so I'm guessing maybe you find out later. But they're off on this quest in this stolen ship that is the best ship in the galaxy or whatever, to find something. Nobody really knows what they're doing until they arrive there, and he tells them about it, and they're like, this is just a myth. And he's like, well, then what's this planet? And yeah, there was funny bits, but it just didn't hit for me. I know so many people love this book. And I like Discworld, so I was like, I will be happy to read this. I'm probably going to have a great time. And I didn't. I don't know if it's because I mostly listen to the audiobook, which normally increases the experience of things. But I just did not have fun with this one. And it was weird and slightly disappointing because I didn't enjoy it as much. Okay, since we're just working our way backwards, I guess, the next would be Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. This is the first of the Percy Jackson and the Olympians by Rick Riordan. In it, we are following Percy, obviously, as he finds out that he is a demigod. He's 12 when his life is forever changed, as something has happened on Olympus where Zeus's lightning bolt has been stolen. Obviously the name, I mean, you might say it's a spoiler because he doesn't know that for a very good chunk of the book, like way longer than I expected him. Yeah, that's probably why I got 3.5 stars, is because there was just so much build up to even the title of the book. If I'd read this when I was younger, though, I probably would have enjoyed it much more in the way it was done and everything. Because it's made for a younger reader, and I think for that age group, it is written very well, very understandable. Like, it should help with the immersion of that age group. Though my son, he didn't say it till he finished the whole series, but he's like, I don't know if I like it all that much. It was okay. It's like, well, you finished the whole series. But Percy finds out he's a demigod. He's been sniffed out because of the fight between Zeus and Poseidon, and evil creatures have sniffed him out, and they think he stole the lightning bolt for some reason, and his life is in mortal peril. So he goes away to a special camp for demigods like him. And also, you don't find out who his father is, even though the movie gave it away really quickly. So I'm interested to see how the show plays that out. You don't really find out who his father is until very far into it as well. Like, he's already been at camp for a while. His dad in this does not seem like he ever fully actually cared. Like, the reason they gave in the movie was more heartfelt. He seemed like he loved Percy, like he wanted to be there and just couldn't. Not. What? We got. Oh well, this is a middle grade series, so I should not even judge it. I should not be judging it. And the last book the first book that I read in March was actually Vicious by V.E. Schwab. Also a 3.5 stars. Everybody was a bad person, except for Molly. She's 13. I don't think she could be considered a bad person for just trying to survive. Well, yes, some of the others were just trying to survive, but they had all been jaded, and they had all done bad things, and they had just continued and thought this was just the way forward. Okay. We follow, though, Victor Vale and Eli Carsworth. Victor and Eli, though, were college roommates and friends, and just a very sort of similar kind of, not even personality. Victor described it as he could see that Eli was broken and jagged inside just like he was, and that's what drew him to Eli, even though Eli would paint on this front to make everybody think he was normal. And Victor's like, but I knew on the inside he really was just like me. And I was like, that's a weird assessment to make. That's okay. But they were the best of friends. For their senior thesis, they were studying extraordinary individuals and how people became extraordinary individuals, and were they even real? 10 years later, they're like mortal enemies. And yeah, they're completely against each other. I don't know how much I can say. I don't remember what's actually in the description. But throughout the whole book, it is a fractured timeline. In the first part, you're seeing Victor in the past and present tense of what happened the 10 years ago and the present. And it's not just dual timeline like that. It's like literally fractured. Like the first chapter starts out a week ago, and then it could go 10 years ago, and then it jumps to a few hours ago, a day ago. You literally jump around. Part 2 of the book, though, introduces you to seeing through Eli's perspective. Like, so now all of the past, the 10 years ago past, is all through Eli's perspective now. And the future, you'll see through him. The present, you will see through him a little bit too, but you also still see through Victor. You see through Molly, and you see, like maybe a week ago, like the more close past, you'll still get glimpses of Victor, but mostly all the past scenes are now from Eli's perspective. And oh my gosh, they're just horrible people and nuts in various different forms and ways. So yeah, really hope you couldn't hear all that clicking as my husband is just doing something with Path of Exile and just, yeah, I didn't have the door closed. I should have had his door closed. The last things though that I read that I didn't do a rating for because it's manga, so it's like, I shouldn't, was the first 2 volumes of Death Note. In this one, Light Yagami finds a Shinigami, which is a death god's notebook outside of his school. And he realizes if he writes the name in it, the person will die of a heart attack. You have to be picturing their face though while you write their name. And you can break it down even more about how to write the way they die, when they die, all of this. So he gets it in his head that the best course of action then is to try to make the world a better place by killing criminals. That would make everybody happy. The world would be safer, and then nobody would commit new crimes because, yeah. But of course, police, people of that sort would not agree with this because it's still murder, still killing. I really hope everyone's March reading went great. I'm sorry this video went weird with having to have 2 differently dressed parts because I lost the footage. If you're enjoying this video though, thank you very much. Check out some of my other videos to see if you like my content and might want to subscribe so you can catch all the future reviews, unboxings, vlogs, and general bookish videos such as this. Like I have the Secret Project 2 spoiler-free review up, a Fairy Loot unboxing, and my anticipated releases for the next few months coming out. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're finding something awesome to read today and having a great weekend. See y'all later. Bye.